I'm so excited to be starting this finally.
Me too.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of discussion with us about, connecting mind, body, soul, and how we share that with the world. And I think finally we kind of have a grasp on how to make it a little more digestible with all the tools we've been getting and receiving and actually implementing in our lives.
Well, honestly, I believe the truth of the matter is that we kind of had to go through our own journey right now in order to garner the wisdom to be able to share with our community and our friends.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think what brought us here is fitness. We're in a gym right now. You own 2 health clubs and I help you with that. And I'm still a personal trainer and all of that. And we've come on this long journey just to come back into our bodies to realize it began in our bodies. We began with the obsession for fitness and health, and even that image of what health looks like to us every single day, it changes. The truth is our body is an ever-evolving machine, right? And it is the smartest technology in the world. And we have to ask ourselves, how are we taking care of this technology? If we look at our body as a computer or a car, what kind of upgrades are we giving it? What kind of maintenance are we doing to take care of it, right?
It all starts with awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Awareness of where our body is right now, but also some clarity on where we actually want our bodies to be.
Yeah.
How do we want to feel? How do we want to look? How do we want to perform? And once we have those ideas, we're able to look at where we're at right now, actually, and then we have the tools to do something about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that awareness will come. I don't know if you can agree with me, but it's either going to come by force. We're going to hit this rock bottom. I will say I definitely hit a rock bottom, funny enough, when I was bodybuilding, this so superficial thing where everyone thinks I look so good on the outside and I am actually dying on the inside. I'm the most miserable I've ever been because what that brought for me was constant competition around me, judgment and comparison. And that's actually so unhealthy for the mind. So as physically fit and built and strong and sexy as on the outside it appeared, on the inside it was constant turmoil because I just couldn't accept. Now it was always, I need to get here. I need to get here. I need to get here. So funny enough, that was my rock bottom mentally that made me really take an inventory on the things I was doing to keep myself healthy because I did not feel healthy. I was in pain. I was deteriorating in my back, in my mind. I felt no energy. I was on constant stimulants like coffee, pre-workout, and all these supplements. I didn't even know what I was taking at that point, but that was my I need to wake up and do something different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's definitely going to come by choice or by force.
Yeah.
Most of us, though, we often settle for force. And in my situation, I had a tremendous amount of inflammation in my life. Didn't know where it was coming from, and pretty much thought that I had to go to a doctor's in order to really help me out to get healthy once again.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that doctors don't necessarily know because they're not experiencing exactly what you're experiencing. So you have to actually take full responsibility for where you're at right now and where you want to be. So for me, inflammation led to a level of my skin falling off every day. Yeah. Every single day. And it was the pain of going through that made me seek other solutions and other answers to the problem.
I don't think people could actually even absorb that without seeing a picture. So we'll throw a picture in there to share what that actually was, skin falling off, are you a snake? But actually being so inflamed and so dry and so blistery. And it comes from, funny enough, even when you tell that story, there's this level of self-responsibility that no matter, there's this thing in life where we're given our experience, right? Where either we asked for it, we came here, who knows, but we came here in this experience and we're dealt a hand of cards. And in your deck of cards, it was actually your childhood that you've began this experience, right? You were suffering as a child with eczema. It got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it hit a point and you were on all types of medications, right? You learned that doctors were gods. And
well, that's how my life started. My life started that way. It was always when something was wrong, asthma attack, bronchitis,
Doctor.
Eczema flare up.
Here's another medication.
Stomach issue.
Another prescription.
Take a medication.
Right.
What was it? Amoxicillin?
Right.
You know, the pink stuff.
All the time. Like they were tablet, like candy.
Yep.
Right.
So
Benadryl.
my family in particular, we grew up with the doctor being like the expert at everything that was going on. But in reality, a doctor is just passing something along to you to remedy the symptoms, but not necessarily get to the root cause. And that's where the responsibility kicks in, is when we actually take full responsibility to get to the root cause, because typically a doctor's not going to do that for you.
And most times we still need help, right? It's not like responsibility, like, oh, I got to do this all by myself. It's never that, but it's also not looking to anyone as your savior and listening to your intuition of where to go. You still, seek that guidance of somebody who knows a little more than you in inflammation, right?
Of course.
Then you take what they have in a grain of salt. Like those doctors, they did get you somewhere.
Of course.
They got you to a point of like, okay, maybe I'm not in as much pain today, so I can seek alternative options, right? Now I could start looking for other options, because like, this ain't it. This is not the answer. I cannot be on Benadryl like it's my vitamin, right?
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. I mean, the goal is that doctors are there to support us, and they're more of a reactive type place in life where we can be very proactive.
Right.
But I also see the place of medication as being the bridge, like you said, giving some relief from our symptoms so that we can try to find or collaborate with the doctor in order to find that solution.
It's
so
a
I think they do play a big role.
Definitely.
As long as you're looking at it as a tool to get to somewhere,
and not an end all be all.
Exactly.
I mean, like most things, right? Like, so when I think of my journey, which is very different, I mean, I think we all suffer from a lot of inflammation in the gut, which causes a lot of like that mental turmoil. So when I was going through what I was going through, I was very inflamed in the gut. But what I started doing to kind of get me out of my head was read books, right? So every book that I read, the first book that I read was 10% Happier. I forget his name, and in that book I didn't really love, but what he talked about in that book was like Eckhart Tolle and other, like really deep spiritual writers. So it led me to the next place. There's always going to be something, as long as you're open and you're willing, you're going to be taken on a journey. But the moment you think you have an answer and you think that somebody or something is God, like, okay, these doctors have all the answers and I'm just going to listen to only them. That's what, gets you stuck when you're not open and constantly evolving with your body, with this machine.
Well, it kind of puts you in a place of getting stuck, because if you think that is the answer, you're going to continue to find things that support that being the answer, right? So like you said, if we actually stay open, then I believe new things and new experiences will come into our life to help guide us.
Right. Like you going through your severe inflammation in your body. Although at the same time, when we were going through the suffering, we were both still very into fitness. We were both working out 5 times a week, eating healthy, and that's another thing, right? Like eating healthy is so different for everyone, but that's like a whole can of worms to open. It looks different for everyone. But we were eating healthy. We were like the epitome of what like a healthy person should be. But at the same time, both of us were enduring our own suffering. So I think we both hit a point, like that dark point where you hit your dark point because like you felt like you were dying, if I recall correctly. And then I hit my dark point because I felt like I wanted to die, emotionally and mentally. And, then it stopped us in our tracks. And I think for me, it's like, what do I want out of this life? Right? Like when you have those suicidal dark thoughts, or suicidal ideations, I should say, not just like actually trying to be suicidal, but like, wow, would life be better without me? If that makes sense. But once you get to that point, it's kind of really silly, right?
Just a joke.
No, for me, that's kind of like where my head was. It doesn't make any sense. But then it starts making you think deeper. Like, what is life? Who am I? Who is life without me? When you kind of you're forced into your purpose. Like you have to ask yourself, why do I want to even feel better? Like, why do I want to get out of this deathbed and start to feel better? And what will drive me to even start on a path of feeling better, even though that might be the hardest path of my life? What is my purpose? And I think for me, I really felt like, I was only 20 something years old, maybe 23. And I was like, there has to be more in store. Like I do want children. I want to experience what it's like to live a full life of creating my own life. I was still living with my father. I think that was part of it. Like when you feel a lack of purpose in life, period. I graduated college. I'm like, like I did all that and here I am. Nobody gave me the job I was promised. Nobody is is putting me on my feet like I thought life was going to be handed to me on a golden platter once I graduated college like we were promised. And I think that was like a big push in like just learning more, just diving into books like never before, wanting to learn more.
So for me, I would say that I had a slightly different experience.
Yeah.
Like life for me was like everything that I wanted in life, like I was going to have to earn it. It didn't
Right.
matter how many hours that I was going to have to work. Like if I was going to become anything, I had to earn it. So when I got really sick from inflammation and the skin was falling off, I really was in a place like, man, there's nowhere to go. And that I have to get through this and I will get through this. I remember my mom looking at me and being scared that I was going to die. She thought that I had cancer because of the level of my health. Obviously, I lost weight. My skin was all wrinkled and shriveled up. And at that moment in time, I just knew that I was going to find the answer. As I felt more pain, I was able to then seek out different answers. But what it did do is it did open me up. Like you said, be open. I became a lot more open to look for answers in a way that I never really did before.
Yeah.
And so I heard something a couple of weeks ago that really hit me. And it says, the pain in life is your wisdom. And so sometimes when I think about my purpose and I think about why I'm here, I'm guided sometimes by my pains. I'm like, man, what did I go through in life?
Funny enough, the Bible verse of the day, I think it was yesterday, I opened it up and I posted it to my story on Instagram, and it said, I forgot the verse, but it was, the suffering is a gift. Yeah. It says this in the Bible, and it's like it gives you character, and then that gives you
perseverance.
Hope, and it gives you perseverance, and that's what builds you to be stronger, and then you're able to actually appreciate, like the suffering without feeling like, why me? The victimhood that we've been, like kind of trained to be like, oh, poor you, and like, oh yeah, poor me, and
it's almost like it's a complete perspective shift, right?
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden you look at your challenges as this challenge is necessary to evolve me into the person that I was meant to be, all of a sudden you kind of start to embrace each challenge in a completely different way. Although tough and you're going to have your waves, you know that the universe has something bigger in store for you, and that this challenge was necessary for you to move forward on your journey.
Yeah, I think that actually one good thing about like being fitness addicts from young and athletes from young, I think that we've realized, and this is a gift when you're already in the fitness space, you do realize you only get stronger from the hard workouts, the pressure, and that's one thing that it does set you up for success for mentally. Like, I just got to get through this, like 3 more reps. That's then I know this is where my growth, like my growth is going to happen. This is when my muscles rip apart to become bigger. That is one big, huge thing. Can I add one point to that? Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of funny you do that, because in one point, when we feel sore, when we're working out, we feel like we got something done, right? Yeah. We're like, what a great workout. That's amazing, et cetera, et cetera. The funny thing is when we have pain in our bodies, we don't pay attention to it. Instead, we actually try to cover it up in one way or another.
Numb it.
We don't pay attention. So for instance, if I'm eating a food and all of a sudden my stomach gets bloated, I'm going to take a pill to stop that, instead of looking at my diet and saying, what did I just eat just now that's actually causing that? So it's almost like a conundrum. In one way, we're like, pain is good.
We're not listening.
But on the other way, we're like, we're not doing anything about the
My favorite part, my dad, my whole life, he's been lactose intolerant. Most Black people are. Most adults are. But it was funny. He was like handing out these pills to like make you able to digest dairy or what. I don't know what the pill was, but I was laughing because I was like, why don't you just not eat the dairy? But it reminds you of all those commercials on TV where they're like dancing around after dinner and they have all these like crappy meals. And it's like, oh, I can't eat that because my stomach's going to hurt. Then they take the pill and then they're like, oh, I can eat all the crap I want. It's like,
I remember
maybe your body is trying to tell you.
I remember a commercial, just like you said, it was a burger, and the guy ate the burger, and after he ate the burger, he took something called Nauzim.
Yeah.
And then after he took the pill, he felt better again. And so instead of, we look for short-term gratification and how does this taste? How does this feel? Instead of at the end of the day, knowing what's right for us and what's wrong for us.
And interesting enough, you say that because we're also brainwashed to think we're limited in the glory of life when, we can't have we choose not to have one thing. Like, I feel like when we started cooking our own meals and we started only eating, like when we go to restaurants, it's only really quality food.
Agreed.
The experience is so much better. Now you could taste flavors you've never tasted because you're not covering them in sauces and grease that, like we've been conditioned to think is so yummy. When in reality, our bodies have been trying to tell us it makes us sick.
Exactly.
So it's like reconditioning our mind. Like life can be so tasty, delicious, and you could feel good, as opposed to I have to give up everything that tastes good and feels good in order to have the body and life of my dreams, when it's actually the adverse, where like God wants you to have it all. You just have to be willing to take a look at yourself and listen to your own inner guidance. And like what you said, like we're ignoring all of those signals, those cues, like my belly hurts, I'm gassy.
Bottom line is we do have to pay attention to all of those signals in all areas of our lives.
Yeah.
I would say physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have to really focus on how we feel at this moment and then line it up with what we do want to feel or what we should be feeling.
And it starts with like, when you really think about it, it starts with the signals in your body. Like even like when we think about and this is getting deeper into like the mind, but when you think about all the depression and anxiety, that's a physical feeling. Like I remember having anxiety attacks, and I would say to you, and I've had a couple with you like during the pandemic, and I was like, okay, I'm having a heart attack. Like I actually physically felt like I was going to die, and I grew up having panic attacks, way less now than ever, but things are so physical. Our body is constantly communicating with us. And why was I having those panic attacks? Because fear was creeping into my head. I was allowing fear to manifest, and my body was trying to tell me, cut it out. Why aren't you trusting? Like, why are you not trusting right now? Like, what can possibly happen to you in this moment on your couch? Like,
Agreed. I think that I really do think though that numbers, 100% you're right. But I think that there's got to be a level of compassion for all of us.
Right.
Number one, right? Even joking about Nauzim or thinking about all the foods that we ate growing up as a kid, the bottom line is that we were lied to our whole lives. And our parents were lied to. And so what our parents did is they just gave us the
being lied to.
They just gave us the information that they thought was right. Right. So I really think it comes from a place of compassion too. Compassion for them, compassion for ourselves. And once we are able to accept a level of compassion for ourselves, then we're able to move forward knowing that we do want to break these cycles, not only in our life, but maybe in our generation, right? Like we want our kids to live a healthy lifestyle. We want our kids to take full responsibility for their health and being active in their performance. And to me, that's going to absolutely create an entirely new world, right?
In reality, we're still learning. And it's funny, like when I jump into the more health, like the deeper in health and fitness you can go, the more overwhelmed you can get. I can even imagine like somebody listening right now can be like, okay, whoa, that's a lot of information in this short time. But like the deeper you go into any like community, like I have like a healthy mom, crunchy mom community. And like sometimes I'm in there and I'm like, all right, ladies, this is too much. Like we need to take it one step at a time. Like we need to acknowledge that like, okay, some of us are here. Like, okay, I got my organic foods, I'm trying, like I can't right now grow my own chickens and vegetables at this moment, but like I'm on the path. It's always working on a path to to get you to somewhere greater. And like I said before, like we're dealt playing hand of cards to play with in life, and a lot of us can feel like we've been dealt this really crappy, and it's my genetics. I really wanted to throw this line out there. It's my genetics. I can't change, right? Like it's one of my favorite little, but it's like a meme. It's like, this runs in my family, like heart, like diabetes runs in my family, like overweight runs in my family. And the meme is like, does this run in your family, or does no one run in your family? Right? So it's like, there's these habits and patterns we've been taught by our, like your mom, right? Like doctors, my grandma as well. Doctors are the answer, right? Always go to them. They have all the answers in reality.
But now we can look at our family also and realize that that they can be an example if we live that same lifestyle, that we're probably most likely going to end up just like them. Right. So I don't believe that it's really about genetics, but genetics do tell us something.
Definitely.
I'll give you an example. My dad is diabetic. Right. So if my dad is diabetic and his father passed away from diabetes, when I look at anything like that, I'm like, okay, well, if I continue to eat the same way and live the same lifestyle that they're living, then I'm going to end up just like that. So my family, in a way, is showing me an external example of what's going on right now.
So that's also another example of like us being forced or by choice. Yes. We can also see somebody suffering from something. And part of, I think, the reason why we've been gifted compassion in this, this vessel, this human life, compassion is also a way to like avoid, like, okay, I really feel what you're going through.
Yes.
And I want to help you not go through that anymore if I can. And I also want to make sure that me and my children don't necessarily have to go through that, because I feel you already. I already feel the pain. Yeah. And if I can avoid feeling this in my own body and like really, really for real, then why not work towards it, even if it takes work?
Of course. Yeah, I think it's all of our responsibility to break as many cycles as we can. But it's like you said from the very beginning of this podcast, is to be open.
Yeah.
Where do we want to better our life? And the bottom line is there are examples of everything around us. Like I said, I brought up my father who's diabetic, right? We bring up our friends. We look at some of the life experiences that they're going through right now. It's like, do I want to go through that same experience, or do I actually want to do something different about that experience? Right. So I think that's where all the lessons of this is. Like the world is like one large classroom. Yeah. And if we're willing to actually learn, we can go far.
So like one huge thing I think that's important to be said is like listening to that inner like navigation system. Like once you get like those feelings of maybe I should be doing something different, maybe like listen to that and take action. Like take action on, if you feel like maybe you need a gym, just join a gym. If you feel like maybe I need to like get more knowledge on this, read a book or listen to a podcast about that information.
Just take one step.
Yeah, ask a fitness professional a question. Like, I can't tell you how many of my friends and family have me as, like any health and fitness, but they won't come to me, because then it opens a lot,
exactly.
Like it's scary. But it's worth it. It's always worth knowing a little more and using whatever tools and then challenging yourself every day.
I mean, I agree that the first step is obviously the hardest step. I mean, it's the step that once you ask, like you said, you're opening up a can of worms. Once you ask somebody how to lose weight, once you ask somebody how to eat better, once you ask somebody how to slow down my mind, or what is meditation, right away, if somebody starts to move you towards that direction, there is an instantaneously responsibility for you to follow through.
Right.
And I think that's why so many people like
avoid
and they don't take the first step. But I want to be honest, like it's literally been a 25-year journey. I started working out when I was 15 years old because I was overweight as a teenager. And now I'm going on 41 years old. So it's 26 years later. I'm still learning every single day. But if I never would have taken the first step, where would I be now?
Right.
You know, so
Right.
I want everybody to know that by taking the first step, I promise you that you're going to be fully supported by the team, the universe, your family, your friends, and everything that you need to make this happen for you.
And the greatest thing about that is, you know, once you tap into why, you know, like why you want to feel better, what makes you want to wake up in the morning and say, you know, today I might do a cold shower, I might do a cold plunge, I might challenge my body a little more. Why? Why do you want to feel better? Why do you want to feel like this exuberant amount of energy? What is the reason you're living? And sometimes that's the first question before you can even get, you know, started on your journey. Sometimes you really got to like sit down and give yourself that motivation. Nobody can give it to you. Like you can kind of like outsource for just a limited amount of time. And then you're going to realize that like it has to come from a deeper knowing of what you came here for in this life. And I think that's going to be really helpful on anyone's journey. And then like reinforcing that every day. Like, this is my why.
I agree. I feel that you said something earlier in the podcast. You said that you're either going to have a choice to change or you're going to be forced to change. And so I think it's vital that we all make it a point to get uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form every single day. That is why I do choose to do the cold shower every morning, because that gets me uncomfortable. And I promise you that it never gets easier.
Yeah. I chose to be a mom. That's my discomfort. It gets crazy. It gets crazy out here. No, but yeah, you know, I do the cold showers too. But I think that even like challenging yourself to resist temptations every day sometimes.
Agreed.
Like, wow, I really want to binge this ice cream, but you know what? I know that's not going to help me right now. Even that in itself, like even just small little things like, oh, I really don't feel like working out today. But instead of like me jumping in the car, go to the gym and feeling like drop down and do 10 push-ups, right? Like drop down and do 15 squats. Just remember that like there's always room to do something. Even that time thinking about should I not? Start doing push-ups and decide, you know, or am I going to go to the gym? Oh, maybe now I feel really great. And now I could like get in my car. Now it feels like my body has some energy.
Yeah. I mean, they say like action starts everything, right? So I know that the mind is obviously powerful and can determine what literally you should be doing. But if you just start to take action, just come to the gym, go outside.
First step.
Take a step. If they take a step, the rest is going to flow. And I think what really should be guiding us is we've all felt how we feel when we do something and when we don't do something. We also feel like how we feel when we do something and then the aftermath of it. I believe that if we can know already, like you said, temptation.
Right.
We know that if we go for this piece of cake right now,
feel like crap
I'm
after.
gonna feel like crap after. And so
Guilt, shame.
what is worth the short-term satisfaction? Right. And I think once we can be aware of that and start seeing that, it actually becomes a subtraction of things from our life.
And it's funny, like even when you say cake, like it's also not like depriving yourself.
Exactly.
There's alternatives, right? Like I love me a piece of dark chocolate, which can be totally healthy. And so it's like realizing that like it's not choosing suffering all the time. It's enduring when like we do have to go through those hard moments, but finding fun ways to go through this life. It's all about having fun. How can I enjoy this life? Because then my why feels so much better when I'm like, okay, at least I get to have a little fun, as opposed to why? Okay, I'm gonna do this really hard thing all the time and it feels like doom and gloom. No, it does not have to.
Yeah, it's like that old idiom. What is it? Like everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's some things that I think that's how life can really be lived, in moderation. And then there's other things that you just can't have. Like, for instance, a hard no for me is dairy. Why? Because I'm allergic to dairy. It doesn't make me feel good. I might be in the hospital if I have something that is dairy.
Hard no's also make things really easy.
Exactly.
Because once it's a no, there's no room to maybe and toggle and waste time and then be tempted. Because when it's a hard no, it's a hard no. Like, things in life, like you could take it to like adultery, right? Like cheating on somebody. Like when you have a hard moral compass, like
that's a hard no.
It's a hard no in my heart. Like it's just not gonna happen, right? Yeah. You could take it to so many levels, but if like maybe there's room, maybe I want to be open, right? So being open is so funny. It's like everything. Like it's a pendulum, right? Like you have to be open to wanting more in life and learning, but you also have to know your boundaries, and that's a whole nother road to go down. But yeah,
agreed.
Definitely.
Know your boundaries, but have fun.
I think our takeaways today, I think listening to that inner compass, like finding your purpose, like why to change, and then like challenging yourself, through tools, whether it's through reading, whether it's through working out, whether it's through cold showers, it's just like a little challenge every day will definitely help you be more in tune with your body.
Agreed. I think everybody, I think at the end of the day, you can take a moment right now and really look back at something that you want to change. And if there's something that you want to change right now, I think that if you make that commitment to it, even just take the first step, that the answers are going to come your way. So I ask all of the audience right now, think about one thing that you want to change, take the first step, and know that the support is here for you, regardless of whatever that may be.
Yeah. And we have tools, man. We have books. We could offer insights to books, ways to start exercise programs, ways to start meditation. That's been huge in our lives. Like even detox methods, like red light therapies, saunas, and all the good stuff. There's always, tools we have to offer.
We have decades of experience to share with you. As I said earlier on, sometimes our pain is our wisdom, and we're here to share that wisdom with you, so that you don't have to go down the same journey.
Yeah. Our journey with us. Thank you.